Well, third week of January. That's the start of what we're looking at today. And the first 2 weeks, especially in US markets, have seen declines for the Dow, definitely. And the Dow was down over 0.5% in trade on Friday as well. Of course, second lower consecutive week for the Dow in 2022. It was down 0.9% over the course of the entire week. The S&P 500 too declined, down 1/3% for the week, but was higher on Friday. 0.1% of gains for the S&P 500 on Friday, and the Nasdaq was up 0.75% on Friday, but down again over 0.25% for the week as a whole. Now, the Dow was marginally lower because the banking pack underperformed. Mind you, banking sector results were December quarter results for the banking pack were announced in the US on Friday with JP Morgan Chase. We had Citibank as well as Wells Fargo, all three announcing their results, and pretty much in line set of results other than Wells Fargo, which kind of came out with a better than expected set of numbers. But the other two, JP Morgan as well as Citi, pretty much in line. However, stocks for both of these declined, which of course impacted the index, and the Dow was lower as we did mention that. Shares of JP Morgan though fell 6%, and that has largely led the Dow lower. When we look at European stocks also closed lower. Mind you, the Fed commentary also has some amount to contribute to this. Hawkish comments continue from the board members of the Federal Reserve, and that kind of has impacted global markets as well. The DAX was down over 0.9%, the CAC down 0.8%, and the Stock 600 down over 1%. So very close to 1% of losses across Europe outside of the UK. The FTSE 100 was down over 0.25% in trade as well on Friday. So a little more tempered fall for the FTSE. When we look at how the markets are looking like today morning, the Dow futures is down around 0.1%. The S&P 500 futures is down around 0.1%, and the Nasdaq futures is down almost 0.5% in early trade today. So we're looking at a lower index, especially in the US, when we look at it in early trade today. When we look at Asia, that's largely mixed, but positive cues coming out of Japan, Shanghai, as well as the Australian index. So Nikkei is up over 0.5%, Shanghai is up over 1/3%, and the ASX 200 holding on to a very marginal thin 15 basis point gain in early trade today. The Hang Seng is lower though, it's lower over 0.5%, and the Kospi is lower over 1% in trade, in what looks like a very mixed day for Asian markets to start off with. The SGX Nifty as well is down around 0.4% in early trade today. So that's how the outlook for Asian markets and US markets is looking in early trade today. Moving on to commodities, oil prices continue to gain. They are tempered towards the late half of last week, but now again they're back on the climb. Oil price is now at $84.3 an ounce in early trade today. That's not good news at all, especially for Indian markets. When we look at bond yields, they edged higher, largely because, or rather as a consequence, gold dipped. So gold is now at around $13 an ounce broadly. It was at almost $25 an ounce in latter half of the week last week. When we look at the dollar index, it's gained marginally. It's at 96.2 in early trade today. Of course, treasury yields going up may signal that gain that the dollar index has made. Treasury yields are now at 1.793%, very close to that 1.8%. Hopefully they remain there, they consolidate there, because there has been quite a lot of fluctuation on the 10-year yield broadly. When we look at Bitcoin, it's just below that $43,000 mark. It's been able to hold out despite the gain in bond yields. That's a roundup of how markets are looking this Monday morning, and a great week of trade ahead of us, it seems.